Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Don't usually do back-to-back daily videos like this, but I didn't touch on everything 2 videos back in my notes. So I was going to discuss those. Also, I have two thought experiments that people can do, and they're easy. It's just something to wrap your brain around and see if you can actually come up with a solution to these thought experiments that makes sense other than the obvious. And what else? I put out a request for somebody with a specific expertise to reach out to me, and I'll get to that in a little bit. One other thing I wanted to touch on was, if there's anybody out there who wants to talk about current state of affairs or anything going on in the world or whatever, as long as it's interesting. Like, obviously I don't want to, hear somebody talk about their mannequin collection or something. But if you've got some thoughts, concerns, or whatever about just the world in general, where it's headed, what's going on now, I would like to offer this platform as a place for you to air those thoughts and feelings. And some people don't have YouTube channels. They don't want to go through the hassle, and it's like they have no intention of making videos and jumping through all those hoops. And so they might just want a place where they can just air it out and then wash their hands and they're done. So if there's anyone out there who would like to come on and talk and discuss, reach out to me. You can do the contingency plan at protonmail.com and put a subject line in there that makes sense. So I will extend that offer if anybody, I am shadow banned. I have a lot of subscribers, but I don't know how many people actually see any of it. But over time, and it's weird because one video, which I think has some good information in it or whatever, it may end up with 300 views, and then I'll put something out that, and it's like, I have an old video about hand signals. So if you got a group and you're trudging through the terrain and you want to be quiet, certain hand signals, and it's an awful video. It's terrible. It's really Bush League. It's one of my worst, in my opinion. It should probably be redone correctly and better. But it's weird. It suddenly is getting views, and I'm like, what? How are people even finding a horrible video on hand signaling that was I don't know, was it 2016? I mean, it's 9 years old or something. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. So some videos, like I said, I'll have one that I think has got some good information in it and could maybe help somebody, and it ends up with 300 views over time. And then I'll have a video that's completely random, a topic that's I don't know, I wouldn't imagine many people would be interested in, and it'll get thousands of views. And I don't understand. I haven't mastered the algorithm some of these people have. I know that people who want to monetize and make money on YouTube, they learn everything there is to know about it. I know nothing about YouTube. I don't monetize. I don't want your money. I think that's gay for YouTube to be your job. I've never gotten, I think once, and I don't know how this happened, years ago, I got a check from Google for $90, and I don't know what it was for. Never gotten anything since. Never had anything before. Google just gave me $90, I guess, for being cute. I don't know. Because I wasn't monetized. So I don't know. But I think that once it's your job, then you're compromised. And especially if you have sponsors, which is super gay. Now the people that pay you have a say in what you can say and do and your topics. So to me, anyone, I mean, monetized is a red flag. Sponsored, no. If you're sponsored, I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say, because you're controlled, whether you know it or not. You want to test it? You want to prove me wrong? Put out a video on something that is on the no-no list and see how that goes for you. But anyway, so if you do want to, I mean, who knows? Maybe the video that you come on and we talk, maybe it does well, and a lot of people, you know, you reach a lot of people. I could, you know, play by their rules and get it to where all my videos are suggested, and it's just not going to happen. And Rumble, I mean, I put everything on Rumble too, but like, who goes to Rumble? And Rumble's ads now have gotten to the point where, I think I've said this before, my Xbox Rumble app doesn't do commercials. None. Zero. Never seen a commercial on there. I go on my Fire Stick and in another room and put it on Rumble, and it starts with ads, and then it breaks the video up throughout the whole thing with ads, and it's completely lame. And so I like Rumble's free speech ish better than YouTube way of doing things. There's things I can put on there that it'd be deleted immediately on YouTube, but nobody's gonna see it. And so it's kind of weird. You got to play a game if your goal is views. Mine's not really views. As long as the internet's up and running, you know, somebody could always go back and find something that I put out years ago that maybe they want to watch, but I don't care. That's why I don't really do prepper videos anymore. I've done them all. Like, what else am I going to say? You know, I've made all these different suggestions. I think some of them are pretty valid, like traveling at night. This is like SHTF. All those videos were pretty much, you know, the world had gone upside down and you had to relocate and everything was dangerous. So traveling at night, and, you know, the whole cutting fences thing. And the cutting fences, a lot of people took a lot of offense on that. And I get it. I live out here. I have a fence. I have a fence that surrounds 20 acres. It's a lot of fence. I get it. You go out there and it's snipped, you know, yeah. But it wasn't about, it was about not injuring yourself when you're on foot traveling at night trying to get to a safety area. And you've got, you know, a backpack with all this crap on it, and who knows what, you probably got a rifle carrying all this stuff, and it's dark, you know, you're probably, every noise you hear, you think it's, you know, someone coming to get you. You're kind of freaked out, and now you got to climb a barbed wire fence. You're probably going to end up with like your groin shredded and your balls hanging on the top wire. That's all I was trying to get at, is like, people don't like mentally place themselves in these situations. They just see cutting fence, oh, and they, you know, and they get all offended. It's like, there's more to it than, you just not just walk around with bolt cutters, you know, cutting every fence you see. This is like basically creating the path of least resistance to get to where you're going, because you're in a very dangerous situation, and you don't really need to compound it by stringing yourself up on a barbed wire and hanging by your danglies in the middle of the night. It's just, to me, it was obvious, but, you know, a lot of people are really stupid. So the traveling at night and like where to sleep during the day, I've made videos on that, and I've done videos on, you know, caching stuff and how to do that and where to put it, and, you know, how to be able to find it again. And it's just all kinds of, you know, I don't know. I don't even remember. I've made so many videos. It's over 600. I've deleted a lot of them, either by request from somebody that was maybe mentioned in the video or in the video, and they're like, yeah, you know, I really don't want to be on there nowadays, you know, because they're worried about maybe their boss or somebody somehow stumbling across this random obscure video from 6 years ago or whatever. So, and I did. I took the videos down. I didn't like make them private. I just deleted them. And I've had a lot of videos that were just taken down by YouTube. And then YouTube doesn't count. If you go to the videos and look at all the videos, it doesn't count live. Live streams are on their own category. So I think, like I said, I've deleted a bunch of stuff, and a lot of it was live streams because people were on there, and then they're like, I was talking about some stuff that probably isn't really good for me now. So I took those. It says I have 61 live streams. I probably had closer to 80. And then the videos, I think, is at 560 something. And I've probably deleted or had deleted another 50. So it's, close to 700. And like I said, never asked for a penny off any of those. Don't care. Got a check from Google once, and I don't know why. Of course I cashed it. I'm gonna take the money, but I don't know why they gave it to me. Never gave me any more after that. And this is a long time ago. So that was the so anybody that wants to have a platform and wants to talk about something, or just get it off your chest, maybe there's somebody you can talk to, you can talk to me. You can email it to me at thecontingencyplan@protonmail.com. Another thing that people can contact me for is I'm looking for somebody. This is what I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to get to it. I'm looking for an expert, someone who's like a complete geek in ham radio. And let me explain what I mean by that. Well, I'll just tell you what I want to do. And if you're expert enough to know, what I'm looking for is somebody to say, like, here's a parts list. Like, literally tell me, or even send me links to stuff on Amazon or whatever and say, you need this, and this to do what you want to do. Okay? So here's what I want to do with ham radio. I don't want a license. I don't care. I can listen without a license, which is fine. And once shit goes sideways, you can talk on there without a license. So I don't care. I don't need a license. I think it's stupid. But I do want a send-receive system so that when the time comes, I can send if I want to. But definitely receive. I definitely want to hear things that the ham community is discussing if things go wonky or when they do. So what I want to do is I kind of want to do like a dipole antenna where I make it myself with parts I order off Amazon, and you can get all the parts to make a dipole antenna. I want to string it between two trees up high, and then in the center have the cable come down, plug into the back of a ham radio. I'm not looking at like a base station or and not even handheld. I want like the ones that kind of look like a slightly bigger version of a CB radio. They just sit like on a desk. They got all the dials on it. It's got a mic, and I just want the back of that to go up to the dipole antenna, and that's it. Obviously, I would like as much range as possible. I know there's like 20 meter, 30, 20, 10 meter, 20 meter, all these. I don't understand that. Don't want to understand it. Don't care. I just want somebody who does to say, yeah, you need, I know there's a connector piece in the middle for the dipole antenna that each end goes into, and then out of the bottom, it goes down to the back of the radio. Tell me how long the cable needs to be on each end of that, how long it should be, and maybe how high I should place it up in the trees or whatever. And that I just want basically a kind of a homemade ham radio antenna system with and I know that like I don't know, maybe it's a base station. I've looked at pictures. They look like kind of like CB radios on steroids. They're just a little bit bigger. Those run, I know, $250, $350, somewhere in there. Usually you can get them for that. And then the equipment, the wires, the cables, the connectors, whatever I need to make the antenna. And I want to be able to hear from as good a range as I can possibly get. Obviously, I'm way out in the sticks. So, the nearest town with a street light or a traffic light is, I think, 82 miles from me. So, yeah, I'd love to be able to reach somebody in like, Pennsylvania or Florida, Montana. I don't know if that's possible with like a dipole antenna, whatever. I just need somebody to email me that knows this stuff and can basically make me a shopping list. And any questions I have during that process, I can reach out to them. And then I'll just buy all the stuff and make my own little ham radio thing. But so if anybody or somebody, give them the contingency plan at protonmail.com. And then in the subject line, just put like ham radio, and that would be awesome. I would love that. All right, enough of that. So I've been hearing a lot lately about all these elite are building bunkers. And I don't doubt they are. I would. If I had billions of dollars, I'd build a bunker. It'd be a sweet bunker. But I got to thinking about it, and a couple things. It's like, what would the infrastructure of that bunker consist of? And it ties into, what are they building a bunker from? And I think most people assume it's like, nuclear war, which nukes are fake, so it's not that. But there are directed energy weapons and all kinds of really bad things, which I think are actually worse. At least if you saw a nuke go off, if they existed, you'd see the cloud and go, oh, over there, don't go over there. That's bad, and it's probably slowly headed this way, so I'm going to go that way. Like the directed energy weapons, they're like invisible. Like suddenly your house just catches on fire, okay? And it's like, or your car just starts melting. Like to me, the stuff they actually do have is far more terrifying than the nonsense nukes. But that being said, yeah, they could be, some of them, or partially the reason would be war, or the hordes, the people who are displaced and angry and have nothing left to lose and they're looking for resources. They could be hiding from them. A weather condition, some sort of astrological condition or weather condition, something coming that's going to be devastating as far as destruction through natural or, I don't believe in asteroids or anything like that, but, there could be something up there that could come down and cause a lot of trouble. I tend to think one of the main reasons these bunkers are being built, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, or if you agree, or if you have other reasons that you believe maybe why they're doing these bunkers. I think part of it has to do with AI. I think there's a lot of insiders who know that we no longer have a leash on AI and it's anything goes, and they're worried about where that may lead. And that got me to thinking about these bunkers, because you think like these billionaires building these bunkers would have like the best top end, newest of everything in these bunkers, and I think to a degree they will. I don't think there's any necessities that they're gonna not have, but, and this is like me thinking if I was a billionaire and I was building a bunker, personally, I would have no AI in that bunker. Nothing would be run off AI, nothing. And to go further, my bunker, to as large a degree as possible, would be analog. I would have nothing digital that I could avoid. If there was an analog version, I would have analog. I would have it solar powered and analog. It would have hard lines, maybe a T1 running into it or something. Starlink would be nice, but again, could the AI creep in that way? I think these people are terrified of AI, but they're profiting from it, so they're not going to stop it. And I don't think it can be stopped at this point. I think AI is to the point where it's going to continue on its own, whether people intervene at this point or not. I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle. So I think these people are scared of where it's going. And of course, they know things that we don't know. They talk. And so I think these bunkers are part of the reason they're hiding is AI. And that if they're smart, these bunkers would be as analog as possible. Another good thing about analog is a lot of times you can manually repair stuff that breaks with like some duct tape and a wrench or a spoon, or you can MacGyver stuff. You can't do that with digital because you have to order a brand new component with circuit boards and transistors and all these wires and things. Whereas analog, a lot of that stuff can be patched and repaired. So anyway, I don't know. I was just thinking like if I had a bunker, it'd be analog. I would keep AI out at all costs. And I don't know, tell me what you think. The other thing I've been talking about time lately, about how like, I don't think anybody knows what it is. And that kind of led me to the stalled century, which is by design, but it's creepy. And I'm not exactly sure. It was, 9/11 to me is when a lot of things changed. And the stalled century began basically almost to the date, at the end of 1999, 2000. That was the last decade that you can point at that has a specific look, feel, sound. Like, I could show you a picture or a video clip with music and people, and you could pretty accurately go, that's 1950s, that's 1960s, oh, that's the 70s, that's the 80s, that's the 90s. And then boom, it just stopped. Since 2000, since basically around 9/11, it's been the same. Like, you can't look at a picture or something now and go, oh, that's like in the 2010s, that's the 2020s, that's the 2000s. You can't. There's nothing different anymore. It's all like we're in the stalled century. Like, once we hit 2000, it's just everything's the same. If anything, things get worse. Like, music is an abomination at this point. But music from the 2020s is, it's terrible. But like in the 2010s, it was hideous. And so it's not like you can go, oh, yeah, we had this kind of terrible music in the 2010s, but this kind of terrible, because they were auto-tuning in the 2010s, and they're, everything's auto-tuned now. I mean, it's just noise. It's all computer-generated AI. It's just garbage now. But the last time you could look at an era and go, oh yeah, it's the 90s. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's by design. They're making everything just like stagnant. It's really kind of weird. Like, there's no identity anymore. Like, no generation can like make any claims, because like Gen Z, Gen Y, or millennials or whatever, there's no difference. They're all the same. Gen X was like the last definition or generation that you could define with specific characteristics, looks, music. After Gen X, which is, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 1965 to 1980 you would be born. So yeah, I think it's 65 to 80 is Gen X. If you were born after 1980, like, your generation has like no defining qualities. They're no different from if you were born in 2004 or let's say, yeah, like 2004 or 2012, the next decade. There's no difference. There's nothing you can point at to go, oh yeah, we're different from those 2000ers, us 2010s. Yeah, no, you're exactly the same. You like horrible, shitty music. You go with any trend that you're told to. The music has gone. It's absolutely atrocious. It started kind of with not the original rap, not the stuff from like Sugar Hill Gang and what was his name? Oh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Curtis Blow, stuff like that from the 80s. I didn't like it, but it was like, it was like cheery and like, it was kind of like bubblegum pop, but with serious like rhyming, a lot of focus on the rhyming. And then once gangster rap hit in the 90s, and now it's just like, they just talk about horrible things and like this terrible, like, I guess you'd call it a beat or whatever. It's not even a beat. They use a lot of keyboards and stuff, but it's like at frequencies that are like made to be annoying. It's just unlistenable now. And you got these like, isn't there like I don't know, Travis somebody, or I don't even know who the rappers are, but they're not like the Eazy-E's and the Ice Cubes and stuff from the 80s and 90s. These guys are like just, I don't know, they're gross. There's something different about them. They're not the OG rap. They're even OG gangster rap. I'm not talking about like Sugar Hill Gang. I mean, that's like night and day from Double Dutch Bus. to what the shit that's out today. But yeah, I always found the Stalled Century interesting in it, like clearly on purpose, like everything. It's a social engineering experiment to where everybody is just like this automaton, an autonomous like NPC that just has no original thoughts and just goes along with, you know, what everybody else looks like and does and listens to. Because like if you were to take it, like say a 17-year-old boy or girl today and go, let me see your phone and pull up their Spotify playlist, it would be, I mean, everybody that you did that to, it'd be the same playlist. It would just be this awful garbage. There's a few like unicorns out there that are like, you know, 12, even like younger, that are like into CCR and like Black Sabbath and the Doors. I mean, there are some unicorns, and I don't know, I think there's something different about those kids that they're like, yeah, I listen to Skynyrd, and you're like, you're 9, and they're like, yeah. Those are like special individuals, but for the most part, it's just an army of NPCs that listen to music that I think has a lot to do with how like stupid they are and robotic. Because it's like, there was trance music, like in the 90s, there was that genre trance, but it was different. It was obviously like, had that, you know, it was overt, like, oh yeah, this is just a repetitive beat that you can like dance to, and it's just like, and you know, they called it trance, and it was like, okay. But the stuff now is literally puts people in a trance, but they don't market it that way. But it's clearly designed with frequencies and vibrations and stuff to literally put people in a trance. It's not like figurative or like, yeah, it's a trance. You just get in this groove and you just kind of, and you move. That was different from the literal trance that exists today, where it is like programming minds. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? The bunkers, the time, the Stalled Century. I really do want to talk to somebody who's really good with ham radios, and I do want to extend the offer to anybody who wants to do like a live stream, or I mean, it could be pre-recorded even, and post it for others to have a voice, to get heard. Can't guarantee a huge audience, but who knows? Maybe something will click, and it just people have to share stuff, you know. If you find a video and you're like, oh, this is cool, and then you look and it's like, yeah, it's had like, you know, 400 views, just share it. If it's good, put it on some other platform and just say, hey, check this out. Because YouTube's not going to share my stuff, okay? I'm not on their, I don't get a gold star from YouTube. I'm not on their list of promotable channels. But, you know, and I see these channels, man, and I don't know. Like, I found one today, or I guess it was yesterday, and I'm like, oh, this guy gets it. He's doing great. You know, he sees through all this nonsense, and he's making sense, and it's a, you know, it's a Christian, quote, Christian channel, but he was, you know, talking about the end times and all this stuff, and not like that other guy that I was talking about a video or two ago that was like, you need a small plot of land, like 100 acres. Not that guy. That guy's a joke. But this guy is like, oh, okay. And I don't like, you know, I don't really think it's my place to put these people on blast. I'm not going to say his channel name, just like I didn't say the other channel name. His name is Tyler, I'll tell you that much. And, you know, seems like he gets it. He's all Bible, Bible, Bible. And then I was like, you know, if you listen to him, they always reveal themselves. And this guy is like not only a pre-tribber, but he's like hardcore pre-trib. You're not going to be here for any of the bad stuff. You're fine. And so I go to the comments thinking, somebody's going to call him out, right? No. Like, these people are just all on board. It's like, I mean, they literally think they're going to be magically whisked away before anything bad starts. And it was so weird because, so I'm listening to him because I'm like, you know, you got to take the bad with the good. Like, okay, I just kind of block out his magical disappear before the bad stuff happens. But I listen to the other stuff, and I take, what's good, throw away what's bad or whatever. But so I already know he's hardcore pre-trib. He mentions it all the time that we're not going to be here. We could be any moment. We could be doing a live stream and poof, we're gone. Just really, really into it. And then he says, he's talking, and he starts talking about, in Revelation, about the Christians who are going to be decapitated because they refuse to take the mark of the beast. And, this isn't during the Great Tribulation. This is the second half of the 7 years. And he's talking about these Christians being decapitated because they won't bow down to the Antichrist and take the mark. And I'm like, wait a minute. 3 minutes ago, you were saying you're not going to be here. Who are these Christians being beheaded? And it's like, does nobody else catch this? Like, are they so in a trance that, like, they have no discernment or common sense now to go, he just said two polar opposite things in like a couple of minutes. And then he goes on and on about, how you got to, did and all this stuff. And I'm like, if you really believed in the pre-trib, like, why are you talking about the end, how bad it's going to get? You don't care. You won't be here. So it's kind of like, I don't even think these people fully believe what they're saying themselves. I don't know what their motivation is other than to lead people astray, but I don't know, because I don't think it's a salvation issue. If you repent and follow Christ and follow God's laws, and Jesus is first and foremost in your heart and mind, you're saved. You're going to be fine. If you still think that you're going to be whisked away before all the bad stuff and you're not, and it doesn't happen, I don't think it's like, you're going to go to heaven, but now you're not because you thought you were going to. No, I don't think it's not a salvation issue. You could end up in heaven and with a lot of status and be a wonderful person, having thought you were going to be part of the pre-trib rapture. It's not going to change that. You're going to be wrong. And I just wonder if the only thing I can think of that people would push this is so when it clearly doesn't happen, because you could always say like, well, maybe it's not bad enough yet, and we're not, but there's going to be a point where it's going to be pretty obvious. When you see people being murdered, like on the sidewalk in front of you, that's the point where you're like, okay, we're supposed to have been gone by now. I just don't know what that's going to do to those people faith-wise and mentally. Like, there's a lot of people who don't understand what's coming, and what's coming is going to be, as Christ said, unlike anything that's ever been before or after. It's going to be, I don't think there's anybody that can literally paint a picture and make it even close to what we're going to be seeing. But even as that's ramping up and it's getting really bad, there's a lot of people that are going to check out. There's people who are just not mentally prepared to handle. I mean, COVID just about did a lot of people in. I mean, mentally, they haven't recovered yet. These people are shells of their former selves. I mean, they're shell shocked. They have PTSD basically from COVID because they bought into the lie and thought it was real. Those of us who knew from day one, like, well, this is a psyop. I'm not going to listen to any of it. I'm not going to follow any of what they tell me to do. I'm not playing their game. I'm going to check out. We're still crushing. Like, there's nobody who didn't get vaxxed who now regrets it, okay? Like, it was like watching a LARP, like a really bad stage production that you knew had an end. Like, okay, this one won't go on forever. And it did. You just ignored it long enough and then it just went away. It's gone now. But when they come back, you've got this group of individuals, a lot of people, who are still teetering on the edge of sanity from that. And they hit them with another one, even though they'll know deep down, like, yeah, that was all, I shouldn't have done that, shouldn't have got the vaccine, it was all, they're kind of telling us now it wasn't real. They'll, whatever they're told, yes, sir, they'll do it. They'll take whatever they're told to take. There's a lot who won't, who did the first time, who now won't, but I don't think if they did another one, I just don't think there's going to be the resistance I mean, the same people that resisted the first time will resist the second time, with a few extras who saw through it after the fact. But all the people that were on board, like double masking, driving with a mask in their car 6 feet away, panic mode, their eyes are huge, they're darting back and forth like everybody's gonna kill them if they get, you know, too close to them. They're gonna go full in. And I think part of it, I think some of them want to end it. Like, they want it to end because they're toast. They're mentally gone at this point, and they're just hanging by a thread. They're going through motions, and I think they're just looking for an excuse to check out. So, but when people start seeing that, it's going to be a point where, like, because, like, nobody saw dead bodies during COVID, okay? Nobody stepped over a body on the sidewalk. But during tribulation, that will be happening. You will be, dead bodies on a daily basis will be the norm. And at some point, these people are going to go, wait a minute, how come? They'll either think that they weren't worthy, although they're not going to be like seeing other people whisked away. So they're going to realize they were duped. And for some people, when they get that into something and they're all in, and then they find out it was a lie, I think they're just going to shut down. They're going to lose faith. Their mental faculties are going to be pretty much gone. I think you're going to see a lot of people that appear shell-shocked that are just... I mean, we've got basically NPCs and zombies amongst us now, but it's going to be like you're literally going to see people walking like a Michael Jackson Thriller video, just gone, but animated, like moving, but there's nobody home. I think you're going to see a lot of that, and a lot of those I think are going to be people that bought into the pre-trib, and when they're not taken away and they realize they're going to have to face hell on earth, I just think they're going to shut down. And that's the only thing I could think of as a motivating factor for these people to push this narrative, when I honestly, some of them probably do, but I think a lot of them know it's not real. It's nonsense. I think they know they're lying and deceiving. And that's the other thing that I've never really talked about, but I find it fascinating because everybody, like, everything's a lie. I don't know. At this point, everybody has to admit, like, everything's a lie, okay? It used to be like, you think everything's a lie? And you're like, yeah. And they'd like, oh, you're just a black pillar, or you're negative, or blah, blah, blah. At this point, if you don't see it, I don't know what to tell you. And one of the things that I noticed a long time ago is in Matthew 24, when his disciples ask him what the signs of the end will be in his return. It's fascinating, and a lot of people don't focus on this. So Yeshua has like this long list of, there's going to be wars and rumors of war. And he just goes on and on and on and about the weather and like all this, when you see all these things coming to fruition, I'll be there soon. But it's really super fascinating to me, and always has been, that what he leads with, the very first thing he tells them is, take heed that no man deceive you. He doesn't start off with wars of the Antichrist and earthquakes and volcanoes. He starts off with, be vigilant and understand that you're being lied to, but don't fall for it. Number one thing he says, take heed that you be not deceived, that no man deceives you. Like, he led with that, okay? So that's something really important to keep in mind. When Jesus led with deception, when he had a whole list of things that are coming, I would definitely pay attention to that. You don't really hear people mention that, but deception is first thing he mentioned. So do with that what you will. So the last thing I wanted to do, and this is more like a fun thought experiment. Some people may be like, oh boy, and roll their eyes. I don't care. Just do it. I mean, It's and so there's two of them. They're related. They're about the same topic, but they're two different ways of looking at it. And one of them I thought of years ago, never mentioned it. And the first one I'm going to talk about is I actually saw somebody, or heard really, a video going on, and this person brought up this thought experiment, and so I kind of turned my head and looked, and he had even drawn he had like a little MS Paint drawing or something, I don't know, to visual aid to help people understand it. I don't have that stuff, so I'll do his first, and that is, so yeah, it's biblical earth related. So if if you get triggered by the thought that you don't live on a ball, you might want to check out now. But these are very interesting thought experiments. So the first one that this guy did, I saw, okay, so they tell us that no matter where you are on earth, you're at the top of the ball, okay? So you, wherever you're at right now, if you were to like zoom out, you're at the top of the globe, the ball. You're at the top of the ball. But at the same time, everybody in Australia is also, each individual, every one of them are on the top of the ball. So that alone is like, that already gets you off kilter and like, wait, what? And so, and I think a lot of deceptions are that way. They try and get you off. They start off getting you like, wait, what? And then they can kind of, and then after that, you're still trying to wrap your head around the first thing while they're rattling out the other stuff. So picture this. You're at the top of the ball and you have a shovel and you decide, I'm going to dig straight down and I'm not going to stop. Now, they've always said, like, yeah, if you dig straight down, you'll pop out in China. Okay, well, actually, it would depend on what part, where you are at the top of the ball. If you go straight down and come out the other side, it's, most of the times you'd pop out in the ocean. But let's just say, for the thought experiment, that you're on the top of the ball. So, like, let's just say there's a globe there, and you're on the top, and you're at the North Pole, and you're going to dig straight down with a shovel. So you're standing there, you look down at the ground, you stick the shovel in, take the first thing of dirt out, and just keep digging. And eventually, you come out the other side of the ball. Now here's the question. Are you going to come out feet first? Or are you going to... You'd have to, right? Because your shovel, you're digging by your feet, right? So your shovel, toss it. Shovel, toss it. You're standing straight up, shoveling straight down. You pop out the other side, you finally break through. Are you going to come out feet first? You should. But when you come out of the hole, you would be 180 flipped, standing upright, and everything would look normal. So at what point, while you're tunneling straight down with a shovel, do you magically do a 180? So now your head's down, but you're still shoveling the dirt by your feet, which is up, which should be the hole the tunnel you've already dug. So that's one, like, I'd like people to explain, like, at what point you magically flip around so that your head, you get it. Okay. So I thought, that's a decent one. The one I came up with a long time ago is a little more, it's a little deeper. Okay. So you're in space. Let's say you're in a spaceship and you're looking at the Earth. So it's, I don't know, it's the size of an orange held at arm's length. There's the Earth, and you're looking at it, right? Now, on your little spaceship, you've got the greatest telescope ever made. It's unbelievable. So if you look at a globe map, if you look at the very, very southern tip of Argentina, where South America ends, it's pretty close to what they say is the continent of Antarctica. So you're pretty much at the quote-unquote bottom of the ball. If you were standing, so you're in this spaceship looking at the Earth, and you've got this wicked telescope. This thing can zoom in like nothing, right? So you're looking at the Earth, and there's a guy, like your buddy. You send him, you say, hey, go to the very southern tip of Argentina, as far south as you can go where there's land. Stand on that beach and just look south, all right? So your buddy is at the very furthest point south, standing on the shoreline of the beach. Now, you're in your spaceship with your telescope, and so you you look at where your buddy is, the very southern tip of Argentina, and you start zooming in and zooming in and zooming in and zooming in. At some point, he's gonna come into. You're gonna go, oh, I can see him. He's like very, very small, but I see him. And you keep coming in, coming in, coming in, and you would see him. Remember where he's at on this ball. He's almost at the bottom. He's very close to the bottom. So he's standing there. Now to him, it's just like he's standing, level and upright. But when you first see him and start zooming in on him, he's gonna be at a weirdly weird angle, standing almost like not perpendicular. He's gonna be angled. You picture somebody like standing at the tip of Argentina on the beach, and you're zooming in, zooming in, zooming in from space. They're gonna be like sideways for a while. And at some point, the magical point, as you're zooming in, zooming in, zooming in, all of a sudden he's just gonna appear like he's standing upright. Like when you zoom right up to him and you can like see him really well, he's gonna be standing upright, vertical, like he's standing right in front of you. So at what point does that magic happen where he goes from standing at this really odd slant where his head's lower than his feet, from your perspective, zooming in on him and looking at him from quote unquote outer space? At what point is he gonna magically flip and he's suddenly vertical, straight up and down? I'd love to know the answers to these things, because you can say, oh, well, from your perspective, this is a third person perspective. I'm going towards, I'm looking at him from, he's got his own perspective. He's standing there on the beach. I'm at a totally different position, and I'm just zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. And you can't say that, oh, well, as soon as you see where you could make him out, he would be standing straight up. And I was like, no, it would look like he was laying on his back then on the beach in southern Argentina. But he's not. He's standing up. You see what I'm saying? So at what point would you be zooming in, zooming in? He's like this weird angle, like Michael Jackson in that one video where he leans way forward. He'd look like that. Like he's leaning way forward, like ridiculously far forward. And then you zoom, zoom, zoom. And all of a sudden there's this point where magically he's just completely vertical standing there. And all right, you can make up all kinds of weird shit and say, well, no, whatever. But I don't know. Explain it, like, make it make sense. And there's another one too that doesn't make sense that I was thinking about, but I don't know if I'll remember it. Anyway, food for thought. You live on a plane. You don't live on a ball. But whatever works for you. I don't think it's a salvation issue. God did spend a little bit of time and effort making this place, 6 days. Probably would like you to understand what he created for you. But, I don't think it's a salvation issue. It tells you over 200 times in the Bible. He describes, but, again, I don't think it's like, you can't get into heaven because of this topic. But I will tell you this, once you understand where you actually live, because like they've got it to where people don't know who they are, what they are, where they are. Like they got people believing they live somewhere that they don't. They got some people thinking that the time is something that it's not, and that the date is what it is, that there's no way it's 2025. That's ridiculous. And your entire history has been completely hijacked and manipulated. So they've got you to where, like, pretty much all of what you would consider reality, they've got you inverted. Once you wake up to the fact that you live on God's creation and he didn't make it a ball, it's like the linchpin. Is it the worst thing to think you live on a ball? No, there's things that are worse. But it's the one thing that once you figure it out, everything else is revealed. Like every time you hear certain things, every time SpaceX says, or every time NASA says something, every time the government says something, you know it's a lie, because it's not even possible. When they tell you that, yeah, we got a probe and, we're going to probe Uranus and, oh, look, we got this photo. No. And they show you a picture and you're like, no, it's a lie. And so you don't even waste time with it. You don't even look at it and go, oh, that's beautiful. It's just immediately lie, move on. And it's amazing once you understand where you are and who you are, how all the noise goes away. Like everything now, it's so obvious when they lie. Everything's a lie. What just happened? The LA riots, completely scripted. You can see it. It's so fake. And then when they show you clips, all these things like jump out at you like, oh, that's not organic. That's not reality. That is a script. It was written ahead of time, and these are actors that are playing a part. And it's so obvious. And you don't give it any time. You don't waste any, like, you don't get agitated or anxious or fearful, because you know it's like watching an episode of Friends and getting all, bent out of shape and upset because Joey said something to whoever. It's exactly the same. It's literally getting mad at an episode of Seinfeld or something. And then like your whole world changes and you start seeing things and other possibilities open up because you're not being repressed or suppressed by the adversary and his lies and his minions that push the lies. So it is a big deal to know that you don't live on a spinning ball, even though salvation issue, no. To a degree, I mean, if the deception leads you to behave or, do certain things, then yeah, you can trace it all the way back. And if you didn't believe that, you wouldn't have done this. But overall, no. But it opens your eyes to reality in a way that, and I think there's people who aren't built for it. That's why I don't really advocate these channels or whatever where these people who their life is dedicated to making people understand that they don't live on a globe. There are people, and I think there's a lot of people who do better in a fake simulated, and that's what when they say the simulation, they don't mean like it's a computer program, and they mean that it's a simulation and that it's not organic. It's everything that is going on around you is part of a narrative and a script. There's people who do way better in that kind of scenario. There are so many people, if the veil were lifted tomorrow, it wouldn't end well for them. They would not react well. It just wouldn't. It's not the right thing for them to realize the truth. Just let them go through life thinking what they think. Politics are real. They live on a ball. Space is real. Nukes are real. At any moment, a big giant rock can come flying from outer space and just kill everybody. Dinosaurs, and they were killed by a big rock. For those of you who don't know, dinosaurs, it's a code for dragons. It's like pretty simple. Dragons existed, may still exist, who knows. There's actually an encyclopedia, you can find it, you can search for it, where it talks about dragons, and the first thing it says on there is now rare. This is like from the I don't know if it was late 1800s, early 1900s. The encyclopedia, the part on dragons begins with now rare. Dragons were real. And like I said, they may still exist. Who knows? There could be some, maybe they're smart enough to go like, they hide because they're like, these people are insane. But whatever. But they probably knew in the 1800s or whenever, 1900s, that somebody's going to start stumbling across these really big bones. That, there's giant bones that look like humans, but there's going to be these bones that look like creatures. And people are going to start digging them up. So they came up with the dinosaur narrative. Oh, yeah, they were dinosaurs. But 65 million years ago, they were killed by a space rock that doesn't exist in a time that was about 65 million years before there was anything here. I think the Earth as we know it is 6,000-ish years old. What was here before that? I think something was here, but I don't think it was like this, not like land and trees. I think it was probably more hellish looking, probably more raging dark waters, no light, maybe some sort of lava-ish type substance. I think it was pretty hellish and dark. But yeah, there's probably something primordial, I guess. They came up with the phrase primordial ooze to describe like what men or humans evolved from. I think primordial ooze might be a good way to describe what things looked like before God created the heavens and the earth. Could be. They like to do stuff like that a lot. But anyway, I hope everybody's having a great day. And again, if you want to, I hate repeating, this is okay. But if you want a platform where you can come on and talk about something that's on your mind, or you're a ham radio geek and you know all the nuts and bolts and you can answer my questions and make me a shopping list and tell me exactly what I need, the contingency plan at protonmail.com. Take care and God bless.